Hi, I'm Vinay Patel, Chief Trust and Security Officer at Zendesk. It's great to be with you. And I want to thank the Cloud Security Alliance for bringing together so many leaders who are shaping what comes next in security and AI. We're standing at a remarkable inflection point. A few years ago, our biggest challenge was defending cloud systems, identities, and data at scale. Today, our challenge is defending decisions. Because AI doesn't just process information anymore. It interprets, adapts, and acts. And that's changing the foundation of what it means to build trust in technology. Let me start with a story. A few months ago, a Fortune 100 CFO received a call that sounded exactly like their CEO. Same voice, same tone, and even the same sense of urgency. So the caller asked for a confidential wire transfer. It was AI generated, and it worked. That wasn't a typical phishing attack. It was a trust failure, a moment where authenticity itself became compromised. We used to worry about securing networks, and now we're struggling to secure reality. Here's another one for you. A large online retailer rolled out an AI-powered customer service chatbot, and within days, users had figured out how to manipulate it, triggering unauthorized refunds or exposing their internal policy language, and even generating fake coupon codes. The company quietly pulled it down. Again, it's not a bug, it's a breakdown in judgment. It's a reminder that trustworthiness of AI is not a feature, it's a responsibility. Okay, and here's a third story that's become almost folklore in the deepfake era. A European energy firm's executive got a video call from what looked like their regional CEO. Perfect face movement, familiar background, and a confident tone. Except it wasn't him. It was a deepfake, built from publicly available footage. And the fraudsters made off with hundreds of thousands of euros, not because they hacked the company's systems, but because they hacked their perception. See, that's the shift we're living through. We're not just defending data anymore. We're defending trust. And for those of us in security, that means the mission itself is evolving. Technology has crossed the line from obedient tool to an autonomous partner. Systems are no longer just executing commands. They're interpreting intent, predicting needs, and sometimes even deciding outcomes. So as a result, the surface area for risk now includes decisions, behaviors, and entire chains of reasoning that happen inside these models. That's why this conversation matters so much today. Security leaders are no longer just guardians of confidentiality or compliance. We're the custodians of digital truth. And how we respond to that responsibility will define whether society actually trusts this next wave of AI innovation. So there's a shift happening. In the world we came from, the rules were clear. Protect the systems, protect the data, protect the identities. We built perimeters. We hardened our endpoints. We encrypted everything. But AI has changed the nature of what we're protecting. See, we're not defending code anymore. We're defending cognition. AI is now part of every decision-making loop. What gets flagged? What gets approved? What gets prioritized? In many ways, we're moving from the world of access control to the world of autonomy control. Let's make this tangible. In financial services, AI models are scanning transactions for fraud. And when they work, they stop crime in milliseconds. When they fail, they freeze legitimate accounts and create friction for real customers. And that's not a data breach, that's a judgment failure. In healthcare, AI diagnostic tools can recommend treatment paths. A small bias in the data or an adversarial input crafted by an attacker can change a recommendation. That's not going to be a system error. That's a human impact error. And in customer service, our world at Zendesk, our AI agents now handle thousands of customer conversations simultaneously, triaging, summarizing, and even resolving issues end to end. And when those AI agents get it right, customers get faster and more personalized experiences, and support teams can focus on complex, high value problems. But when they get it wrong, if an agent misclassifies an intent, routes the conversation to the wrong workflow, or escalates unnecessarily, it's not just a minor error. It's a disruption in the customer experience and a dent in trust. Here's the analogy I like to use. AI is like a new autopilot. When it's calibrated, monitored, and guided, it can make us faster and safer. But when it's misaligned, it can take the whole plane off course before anyone even realizes what's happening. And in our case, the plane isn't just an app or a business process. It's reputation, ethics, and trust in our brand. See, traditional controls don't help us much here. SIEMs don't detect hallucinations. IAM policies can't prevent a model from oversharing. And DLP doesn't stop an LLM from generating a false response. That's why we need new primitives for this era. Model observability, behavioral assurance, drift detection, and human-in-the-loop governance. In the age of autonomy, not every risk looks like an attack, but it can still become a crisis. And so our definition of security has to evolve from protecting data to protecting decisions. Because in this new world, what matters most isn't just whether our systems are secure, it's whether their decisions are defensible. There's a trust imperative. If we can't prevent every mistake and can't predict every behavior, what is anchoring us? And that answer is trust. See, security alone is not enough anymore. Privacy alone is also not enough. What organizations need now is trustworthy AI. Systems that are transparent, accountable, and explainable. Trust isn't something you declare, though. It's something you have to prove and earn over time through consistency and transparency. At Zendesk, we think of trust like a stack. At the foundation, we have strong data pipelines, robust identity management, and hardened infrastructure. Above that, technical controls like prompt injection detection, model drift monitoring, and misuse prevention. And then there's governance, doing impact assessments, risk classification, and cross-functional review boards. And finally, transparency, having strong model documentation, explainability, and even independent certifications like ISO 42001 or CSA's AI for STAR. But beyond the technology stack, trust has a human layer. Because no matter how good your controls are, users still have to believe that your AI acts in their best interest. A few years ago, a well-known AI chatbot went viral for all the wrong reasons. People discovered they could manipulate it into generating toxic and offensive content. It wasn't malicious by design. It was naive by design. It mirrored the internet without judgment. And it became a cultural cautionary tale about what happens when we deploy AI without guardrails. That story matters because it reshaped public perception. It reminded the world that trust in AI can disappear overnight, not from a breach, but from a breach of expectations. And governments are taking note. From the EU AI Act to Singapore's AI Verify initiative, we're seeing a global move towards accountability frameworks that mirror what cybersecurity did 20 years ago. The message is clear. You can't innovate your way out of governance. And it's not just about regulation, it's about economics. Trust shortens sales cycles. It accelerates adoption and it reduces friction. If you're in a B2B space, it's about gaining competitive advantage. If you're in the consumer tech space, it's existential. And in both cases, it's now a measurable business value. So trust isn't a feel good principle, it's an operational asset. And how we invest in that asset will determine how far AI can take us. I'll share you some lessons from our journey at Zendesk to help make this a little bit more real. When we at Zendesk decided to pursue our ISO 42001 certification, it wasn't about compliance. It was about readiness. Readiness for a future where every enterprise buyer asks, how do you manage AI risk? Every day, our AI helps businesses, summarizing conversations, routing tickets intelligently, and generating contextual responses for them. And if those decisions go wrong, it's not just a glitch, it's a moment of lost trust. So we approach that challenge by building governance directly into our product lifecycle. Every AI feature, no matter how small, goes through an impact assessment. We classify risk levels, whether it's generative or deterministic. Is it internal or external? Is it high or low impact? And we keep a living inventory of these AI capabilities, and we set both human and technical guardrails for responsible use. What surprises most, though, wasn't the amount of structure needed, it was how empowering that structure can actually become. Governance didn't slow innovation, it accelerated it. Teams stopped asking, can we build this? And started asking, how can we build this responsibly and faster? Because they knew exactly where the boundaries were. We also learned that trust is inherently cross-functional, right? So security couldn't do it alone. Legal, product, engineering, data science, everyone had to adopt a shared vocabulary for AI risk. And that alignment created momentum. See, when everyone speaks the same trust language, decisions move faster. That's how governance evolves from overhead to an advantage. And we've already seen tangible benefits: shorter security reviews in enterprise sales, clearer risk conversations with our customers, and faster approvals for AI experiments. Trust isn't slowing us down, it's actually helping compound our velocity. See, that's the paradox of good governance. When done right, it doesn't restrain innovation, it enables it. And I think that's a story every organization can relate to. So, what does all this mean for security leaders? It means we have to evolve too. Here are three mindset shifts that I want to share with you that I believe will help define the next generation of leadership in our field. First, a mindset shift from perimeter defense to behavioral assurance. See, we've spent years perfecting access control. Now we have to master behavioral control. Not just who can do something, but what they and their AI agents actually do once inside the system. That means treating AI activity as first-class telemetry, monitored, baselined, and verified for intent. The next security operations center might not just analyze IP addresses, it will also analyze decision patterns. The second shift from detection to preemption. Traditional security detects compromise. AI security should predict misalignment. We need systems that recognize when a model's confidence spikes unnaturally, when drift is suggesting corruption, or when a large language model starts generating unexpected responses. Imagine a world where our alert dashboards flag behavioral anomalies instead of log anomalies. That's not science fiction, that's the next security frontier. And third, it's a shift from control to collaboration. No single team owns AI risk. Security has to become the translator, the bridge between engineering, legal, product, and even the board. Because the hardest problems in AI governance are not technical, they're cultural. This is the new definition of leadership, not just controlling risk, but enabling trust across the enterprise. The best security teams of the future will look less like enforcement agencies and more like strategic design partners. So, this is our defining moment. We're not just shaping enterprise security anymore, we're shaping societal trust in AI. We're the architects of responsible AI deployment, the ones ensuring that innovation doesn't outpace integrity. Because the real risk isn't AI becoming too smart, it's deploying it without enough judgment. 5 years from now, AI governance will be as fundamental as network security is today. And the companies that embed trust early, that operationalize transparency and accountability, will define the next decade of digital business. So, as you think about your own organization, remember, trust is not an afterthought, it's the outcome of every security design choice you make. And it's the legacy that we leave behind as builders of technology that will shape the human experience. So, this is our moment to lead with integrity, to innovate with accountability, and to prove that AI can be both powerful and principled. Thank you.